Oh, man, that feels so good. If you told me 10 years ago that by the time I was 33, I'd be drinking coffee with the best of them from a elixir mug, well, I'd have thought that was a really weird thing to tell me. Good morning to you. I am SuperDerek, and it is time once again for your JRPG weekly update. And again, this week we're a little bit light on the JRPG news. We got a little bit of stuff to talk about. A bunch of Western RPGs are coming out this week, and we'll talk about that as per usual at the end of the stream, or at the end of the news. But before we get to all of that, a new game was announced recently that caught my interest. It's called Disco Elysium, and it's going to be coming out on October 15th. Now, this is not coming to consoles, so it's something that it's going to be for PC players only, but it still really has a really beautiful trailer that's probably playing right this very second. This is like an isometric CRPG that at first looked like it was maybe kind of inspired, at least in part, by Fallout 1 and 2, but again, what CRPG to a degree isn't. The game looks like it takes place in kind of like an urban, kind of like a fantasy urban sort of setting. At first, I thought it might have been a little bit steampunk, but it also kind of looked a little post apocalyptic, and it's kind of hard to really place just based on the trailer. But apparently, in this game, you play as a detective, and it just it seems like it's gonna have some really interesting gameplay mechanics just based on what I've seen here. It showed like rolling dice and stuff, and like trying to pass certain skill checks, and I just thought that that was so cool as a fan of D&D, being able to see the actual dice roll. I thought that was really cool. But anyways, so that game is coming to Steam and Good Old Games on the 15th, and I think that's something you guys might be interested in. I know I was. Now, as for release date updates, we got a few release date updates, and I think that the really big one that I wanted to talk to you guys about was the Grandia HD Remaster, the Grandia 1 Remaster for PC was actually delayed this week. That's being pushed back until October 15th, so I guess that's coming out the same day as Disco Elysium. But anyways, so the remaster was pushed back for PC because of some additional patches and stuff that they wanted to work into the PC release of the game. Grandia 2 HD is already on Steam, so you guys don't really have to worry about that. So the Switch HD collection, though, the Switch version, is also getting an update, but that isn't planned until November 12th. But they've announced it. They said that the update is going to be addressing a lot of the user feedback that they've been getting surrounding both titles. So feedback on what those details are, though, is a little bit sparse, so it's kind of hard to pin down exactly what kind of feedback they're hoping to address. However, it's likely to address some bugs surrounding some of the following, including audio bugs, some unfiltered sprites in Grandia 1, Grandia 2's overall performance, I guess, in some spots is a little bit spotty, and graphical glitches, and even some mistranslations. So that's going to be coming out on November 12th, and hopefully that will really nail down some of the stability things that I've also heard about people encountering with Grandia 2 not being able to finish the game, which, man, that's too bad. But hopefully this one will address that here in 45 days or so. that's that's so far away. But hey, on the other hand, we also have a new release date update for the Atelier Dusk trilogy. I announced this, but they announced this. Somebody announced this a couple weeks ago. And well, now Atelier Dusk Trilogy got a release date. It's coming out in the West here on January 15th, or sorry, January 14th, and that is coming to PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and to Steam. And it's going to contain the three Dusk games. In SuperDerek news, and yes, we are already on to SuperDerek news because it's kind of a light news week. In SuperDerek news, I have actually just yesterday, finished editing my review of Star Ocean: The Second Story. Patrons of the show already have access to this video right now, and they are watching it, and they've been giving me some pretty good feedback on it. I hope you guys are just as happy to see it as they have been. Oh yeah, and the reason I'm telling you this is because it's scheduled to go live on Friday, so Clear your calendars, boys and girls. We got a 15-minute JRPG review coming out for Star Ocean: The Second Story. Spoiler warning, it is fantastic. So, on Twitch last week, I actually wrapped up my playthrough of Shadows of Adam, which is really great because I'm going to be starting the work on the review for that next. So hopefully I'll have a review for that very soon. And today, the day this video goes live, I'll be starting up a playthrough of Shadow Heart's Covenant in preparation for a Halloween episode of the game collection, which I'm really happy about. So, if you're interested in hanging out and seeing Shadow Heart's Covenant in action, follow links in the description below to my Twitch channel, and we can hang out and, talk and have fun. It's going to be great. And speaking of links in the video description, that's a heck of a segue. After last week's video came out, the Nintendo Switch Final Fantasy VII and 8 combo pack went up for pre-order on Play Asia. This is a multi-language support game, which is why it's on Play Asia, basically. So if you wanted to play a physical copy of Final Fantasy VII and 8 on Nintendo Switch, you can pre-order that today by using a link down in the below. It's I think $50 on Play Asia, $49.99. The game comes on the two games rather come on a single cartridge, and they are expected to ship in December. And speaking again of those affiliate links last week, the game that sold the most by far was in fact the pre-order for the Final Fantasy Dual Pack, which was pretty awesome. Followed up by the Dragon Quest trilogy, and then Dragon Quest XI-S on Nintendo Switch, and then lastly, Code Vein was also in there. So thank you again, everybody, for your continued support by following those links and for helping me see kind of what you guys are really most interested in. I'm actually really surprised at some of the things that have just been topping those charts for me. So, in some other news, Final Fantasy VII's new box art, the remake, got some box art that has been teased to everybody. This is pretty much what I would say is a pitch perfect homage to the original US cover of Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation 1. And I think everybody knows this, right? But notably, the cover doesn't actually mention like episode 1 or whatever it's going to be called, or part 1 or anything, which I understand they didn't do because it kind of conflict with that minimalist aesthetic that they've been going for, and the homage to Final Fantasy VII, the original, that cover would be broken if they kind of included that. Although, of course, the new logo shows Remake underneath it, and I think it just looks really clean overall. Now, in my Discord, somebody brought up how this omission could be possibly some sort of like false advertising, maybe not in the legal sense, but it might be a little bit misleading to people who don't follow the JRPG news on the weekly basis, like us. So, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, personally, I see the cover as clearly it's an homage, but I could also definitely see how it might be confusing. So, I'm kind of not sure how I really feel about that. But does it mislead people who don't know maybe that Final Fantasy VII is going to be split into multiple parts? Maybe. That might set some expectations and probably make some people a little angry when they find out that the game ends at the end of Midgar, I guess. Maybe. Anyways, we have some other news to talk about, some games that are coming out this week, and I'm going to break things down by system this week and just see how you guys prefer this. So, we're going to start off with the games that are coming to Nintendo Switch this week. Starting with Rhinelands, The Hammer of Thor is coming out on October 4th. This is an action RPG that looks pretty interesting, followed by Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 Enhanced Edition, which is coming on the 1st. So I guess it's not followed by. This isn't really set up in a chronological order. I should probably fix that next time around. But also, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order expansion called Curse of the Vampire, is actually launching today. So the date that you see this, that expansion is now available. And also Planescape Torment and Icewind Dale Enhanced Editions are both coming to Nintendo Switch on the 1st. For PlayStation 4, La Grande Legacy, Tale of Fatebounds is coming out on the 3rd. Neverwinter Uprising, it's an MMO, is launching on the 1st, and then Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 Enhanced Editions are also launching on the 1st for PlayStation 4. And then, for last but not least, it's actually tied with PS4, as Divine Chimera is coming to Xbox One this week. It's launching on the 2nd, and then it's going to be, let's see, on the 1st, there was a couple of games coming to Xbox One. Neverwinter Uprising, again, that MMO that's also on PS4, followed by Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 Enhanced Editions, which are launching on the 1st as well. Well, this has been a pretty short episode. I wish we could hang out a little longer, but there's sadly very little else going on at the moment. I think that next week we're probably going to start seeing a lot more games launching, and yeah, Broketober is upon us. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. I will see you guys next week. I am SuperDerek, and this has all been news to me. Take care, everyone.